It's 6 o'clock. We're going to go ahead and start the meeting. Let's please take roll.
Commissioner Lydé.
Here.
Commissioner Calandra. Commissioner Diaz. Commissioner Kreiner.
Here.
Commissioner Shergill. Vice Chair Bray.
Here.
Here. All right, we're going to go ahead and start today's meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. So everyone, please stand. Ready? Begin.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll go ahead and read the procedures for the meeting. This meeting is being conducted in person and electronically. The public may participate in tonight's meeting by using the Zoom link provided on the Planning Commission agenda. Please note that all virtual participants will be on mute until they are called upon by the chair, at which point they will be unmuted. If you're a member of the public and would like to comment on an item, use the raise hand function on Zoom. To avoid any confusion, please wait for the item you desire to comment on to be called by the chair before electronically raising your hand. For each matter considered by the Commission, there will first be a staff presentation, followed by a presentation from the project applicant. Testimony from supporters of the project would then be taken, followed by testimony from those in opposition. The applicant will have the right to a final rebuttal presentation prior to closing the public hearing. In accordance with Section 13 of Article 2 of the Planning Commission Rules and Regulations governing length of public debate, all public testimony from those in support and in opposition of the project will be limited to 3 minutes per person. The 3 lights on the podium next to the microphone will indicate the amount of time remaining for the speaker. The green light will be turned on when the speaker begins. Yellow light will come on with a soft bell ring when 1 minute is remaining. The speaker should be completing the testimony by the time the red light comes on with the final bell indicating time has expired. All in-person public testimony must be presented to the Commission at the podium. Any testimony that references race, religion, ethnicity, economic status, national origin, or any other classification protected under state or federal law in a derogatory manner shall be deemed irrelevant and will not be considered by the Commission in making its land use determinations. If you challenge these land use matters in court, you may be limited to raising only those issues you or someone else raised in oral or written testimony or before the close of the hearing. We'll start with the approval of the agenda. Do we have any changes to the agenda?
Yes, good evening, Chair Vang, members of the Planning Commission. I'm Israel Trejo with the Planning and Development Department. We do have 2 requested changes to the agenda. They both involve the continued items. So the first requested change is relative to item 7A. So on behalf of the property owner of the subject property, staff is recommending continuance of this item to August 7th. There have been discussions between the property owner and adjacent business owner. We'd like to allow those discussions to continue, including discussions with their council member. So on behalf of the applicant, or I'm sorry, on behalf of the owner of the subject property, requesting continuance to item 7A to August 7th. Relative to continued item 7B, again, on behalf of the property owner, staff is requesting that one be continued to July 17th. The property owner wanted to bring supporters of their project. They weren't able to come to this meeting, so requesting to continue item 7B to July 17th. Thank you.
Thank you for the update. Do appreciate hearing that they're working with the community and hearing some interaction. So that's good to hear. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll move to approve the agenda.
Second.
All right, we have a motion made by Vice Chair Bray, a second by Commissioner Kreiner. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Chair
all
Vang,
yes.
just really quickly, to approve the agenda as amended?
Yes,
Okay.
that's good. Again, we have a motion made by Vice Chair Bray, a second by Commissioner Kreiner. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. Motion's approved. Under the consent calendar, we have regular meeting minutes for June 5th, 2024. Do we have a motion to approve the consent calendar? All right, we have a motion made by Commissioner Calandra, second by Commissioner Kreiner. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. Motion's approved. We'll skip continued matters and we'll move to new matters. This is item ID 24892 for the consideration of an appeal file regarding development permit application number P23011190.
Good evening, Chair Vang and Commissioners. My name is John George. I'm with the Planning and Development Department. Staff brings forth consideration of an appeal of development permit application number P23-01190. This project was submitted by Granville Homes. The project site is located generally on the southwest corner of North Maple Avenue and East Copper River Drive. The site is generally surrounded by, to the north, residential and a golf course. To our east, we have commercial. To the south, commercial. To the west of the project is a ponding basin and a PG&E facility. This property lies within the boundaries of the Copper River Ranch Environmental Impact Report. The original EIR was adopted in 2003. Under the original EIR, the subject property was planned for community commercial. The subsequent EIR, which was adopted in 2021, changed that through a plan amendment to a land use designation of residential urban neighborhood. The SEIR included a full evaluation of all proposed land uses in the area. This slide just indicates, as we spoke about a moment ago, it is residential urban neighborhood, and above it is the golf course and residential. This property is approximately 7.11 acres. The project will be 19 two-story buildings, and there'll be 114 two-bedroom dwelling units. This project meets or exceeds all development standards for the RM2 zone district. Specifically, with parking, the RM2 calls for 171 parking spaces, 114 of which would be covered, and 57 uncovered. The project, as proposed, has 257 parking spaces, 114 garages, and 143 uncovered. Again, this project meets all development standards of the RM2, including height, lot coverage, open space requirements, and all setback requirements. This project was originally approved by the Planning and Development Department on April 22nd, 2024. The appeal period ended on May 7th, 2024. Staff received 3 appeal letters. Some of the concerns issued in these appeal letters included an increase in traffic congestion as a result of building 114 units. Staff notes that the Department of Public Works has not indicated that this would create undue stress on the traffic. Parking will be insufficient for the project was one of the other concerns. As stated earlier, this project actually has more parking spaces than required by the RM2. Another concern was the increase in residents would create a strain on infrastructure. This project was routed to Public Works, Department of Public Utilities, other relevant agencies, not one indicating that this would create a strain on infrastructure. Another concern was the influx. New residents will change the dynamics of the community. All concerns have been addressed and analyzed in the staff report. Right now, staff would like to point out the Housing and Accountability Act, or Senate Bill 167. Pursuant to Government Code Section 65589.5J, the HAA prohibits a local agency from disapproving a housing development project that complies with applicable objective general plan and zoning standards and criteria, unless the local agency makes specified written findings supported by a preponderance of the evidence on the record that both of the following conditions exist. There's a specific adverse impact upon the public health or safety, and there is no feasible method to satisfactorily mitigate or avoid the adverse impact. If neither of the above conditions exist, the project cannot be denied without potential Housing Accountability Act violation. Staff recommends that you adopt the environmental assessment and deny the appeal and uphold the action of the Planning and Development Department. This concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you, sir. Do you know if the developer reached out to the local community at all or have held any meetings?
I am unaware if they have.
Okay. Also, in regards to the height, do we know like the specific height and what's actually allowed in that area too?
The max height in the RM2 is 50 feet. The maximum height in this project is 29 feet 1 inches.
Do we have any questions from the commission? Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Do we have the applicant?
Can we put this flash drive in? This one, okay, great. Good evening, members of the members of the Planning Commission. My name is Darius Sasemi, representing Granville Homes, 1368 West Herndon, Fresno, California. This project and the attached project, which is the commercial that was in front of you several years ago, has gone through a SEIR, which was approved by the city of Fresno a couple of years ago. Lots of public outreach. It's also part of the original EIR for Copper River, dating back to 2003. The commercial and multifamily parts of Copper River, which is again part of the original EIR, and the SEIR were disclosed to everybody. Copper River is not an exclusive neighborhood. It's a mixed-use neighborhood with commercial, retail, and multifamily. As part of our EIR, almost half of the units at Copper River will be multifamily. This is dated back to 2003. So we're not changing the zoning, we're not changing the land use. This is all disclosed. We had multiple neighborhood meetings when the commercial component went through in 2020 in front of this body. The SEIR went through with public hearings, was adopted in 2021, again with lots of public outreach. We're not changing the land use designation. We have an ability to actually build more units at a much higher height, but we're the developers of Copper River. We're building homes across the street. We're building homes down the street, and highly possible my future office will be actually adjacent to this project. So we're not going to do anything that's going to be detrimental. These are market rate units as part of the original promise of Copper River Development, and as to comply with your general plan that you have adopted. Just a little overview of where this site is. So the blue that says GV is the site that is in front of you with an approved site plan that is appealed. The two red are the existing multifamily projects approved by this body. They're both built. The project on the west end or the left side of your screen, the bigger multifamily, is a relatively tall 3-story project approved, gosh, I'm going to say 4 or 5 years ago. Meets the zoning requirements. It's at least 3 stories. Most of it is 3 stories, some maybe 2 stories. The blue is our project. We've built the homes directly to the north. We're developing the commercial project directly to the south. It's part of what we call complete neighborhoods, where the city of Fresno asks for complete neighborhoods, walkable, complete neighborhoods, commercial to the south. The Mad Duck opened up several months ago. For those of you that haven't visited that, it's a gorgeous brand new building, microbrewery. There's a veterinary clinic that will open up shortly, plus a boba tea place, hopefully later this summer or fall, which will create more livable, walkable neighborhoods all within Copper River. This is a little zoomed in where the project site is, adjacent to a ponding basin to the left, shopping center to the south, a PG&E high voltage substation adjacent to that, and then the Copper River wastewater treatment facility just to the west of the PG&E substation. Across from further retail to the east, the empty, like a half moon, is an office site that we will develop in the coming years. Exactly when, I'm not sure. It's permitted and approved. This is a close-up site plan of the apartment complex on the north side of your page. The south side is the neighborhood retail marketplace that this body approved, I'm going to say 3.5 or 4 years ago. To date, very successful. It's the elevation of what a typical building will look like. Again, we could be almost double this height, but we chose to keep the height compatible with the neighborhood. There's homes across the street that are similar height with balconies. So there's nothing obtrusive about what Granville is doing. And again, one of the questions that folks tell me, we really want Granville to develop it, because otherwise somebody else could come in and build a 3-story or up to 50 feet by right on this parcel. And we have chosen to build that product to make sure it fits with the neighborhood. A typical project that we build, that's what some of the exterior elevations look like. It could look like this. And then just a couple of other points about neighborhood safety. So this is, I think this is from Fresno, the City of Fresno website, from the crimegrade.org, property crime. The red dots are existing Granville projects that are built several years ago. The one on the left was completed in 2019. The one on the right completed in 2021. Nothing changes with the crime rate around the projects that we built. And then the SEIR findings. This project was just in the box, was designated and zoned for a mixture of products, a mixture of using commercial, multifamily, residential, and single-family residential. As part of the supplemental EIR document that you approved several years ago. This is a couple of other pictures of some of the inside of what our projects look like. It's not quite relevant, and thank you. Be glad to answer any questions the commission may have at this point. And be glad to come back up for a rebut if there's other comments.
Thank you. Question, have you had a chance to review some of these appeal letters?
I have.
Okay. What do you, I read a letter and it stated that there was a poll that went around and kind of polled all the local residents, and it seemed like they feel like they were misled. Like, how do you address that?
Misled in which way?
It said there was a poll, what was it at? Last we heard, the community was polled by Granville Homes and the majority wanted a market, so we were shocked to drive by to see development happen. I'm just reading.
Say that again. Could you read that up?
So this letter, and I quote, last we heard, the community was polled by Granville Homes and the majority wanted a market, so we were shocked to drive by to see development happen.
They were shocked to see development happen?
Correct.
They wanted a market.
So that was one of the concerns, but I wanted to ask you, just because you're building this project over there, and I want to praise you too, because the area over there is actually really nice. Like, I enjoy driving by over there. But what's the, how do you address the concern? Because the common theme is going to be traffic, right? You have a lot of these local residents concerned about traffic.
So one of the residents several years ago, as we were going through the commercial, which actually brings more traffic, that this body ultimately approved unanimously. There's a traffic study done as part of the supplemental EIR. This was going 2021, that addresses all of the traffic for Copper River. One of the neighbors asked me, he said, why don't you just build the park? I said, well, actually, you know, be careful what you ask for, because parks today attract a lot of homeless folks. We do have homeless at Copper River. They bathe in the entry monumentation off of Friant within the water feature. We have to clean that up frequently to keep the area attractive. And there's a cost to build and operate, and of course parks are not without traffic. Whatever is developed will bring more traffic than what there is there today. We've never communicated anything else besides that. Commercial brings traffic, it brings growth, it brings revenue for the city, and the reason that we purchased the property is to develop it based on what is zoned. And the reason we did this supplemental EIR to update and make sure we're complying with all 11 or 12 components, not only traffic, is sewer, water, air quality, biological, I don't know, Jennifer Clark can address all the studies that we had to do over a 2-year time period to update the EIR. Traffic was one. One of the other comments was the impact on schools. This project will pay school fees, and we have data on both Fugman and Fugman schools.
Granite Ridge and Clovis North.
I'm sorry?
Granite Ridge and Clovis North.
That's right, Granite Ridge and Clovis. Fugman elementary current Clovis Unified projections do not exceed 96% capacity, 2025-26. Granite Ridge does not exceed 79% capacity. Clovis North expected to drop to 84% capacity by 25-26 school year.
All right, do we have any questions from the commission? Go ahead, Ms.
Let me, I'm sorry, go ahead, Commissioner Calanda. Also, our typical, the other two projects we showed, the first 162 units, again, we didn't change the zoning. It was on 8.5 acres. Out of those 162 units, we have typically between 7 and 10 students attend school. Our projects typically don't attract folks with a lot of kids. We don't have swimming pools. We don't have kids' play areas. So we attract a different kind of a clientele.
Go ahead.
There it is. Okay. My question is about the walkability. And one of the things that I have always been frustrated with is when you are in a commercial area and you want to go to the one next door, you have to go out onto the street and into another driveway. Since these two projects abut each other, is it possible that there could be a pedestrian gate so that people, instead of having to walk outside of the development and all the way around, can find themselves a little more accessible?
That's actually a great point, Commissioner Calandra. If you can put the flash drive back on. Oops, let's see. Actually, we can't. Well, I can't use a pointer to point on the screen, right? Or can I? Is there a pointer? Okay. So we actually do have a pedestrian gate. If you put your cursor, can you go to the right? Okay, just where you're at. Just stop where that. Go south. Go down. Okay, stop there. Go to the left. A little bit more to the left. Right there. That's a pedestrian gate we actually put in because you're exactly right. Good planning to reduce vehicle miles traveled. We want those folks to have direct access to the shopping center. And furthermore, all of Copper River is built with a network of trails to make it very connectable and walkable.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes, Brother.
Go ahead,
Chair.
Commissioner.
Sir, there has been, it seems like there's been significant concern surrounding the roundabout and the potential hazard that it causes to pedestrian safety and to those that will be walking, but also the congestion that can back up, as we know, when it comes to roundabouts. And as we're potentially talking about expanding that area, how would you address that immediate concern? Because out of all those appeals, that one kind of sticks out a little bit. How would you address that?
So the roundabout is, again, directly attached to this project. When we updated the EIR for all of Copper River, one of the studies, extensive studies, was traffic study to look at the impacts of this project, not only this project, all of future residential projects at Copper River to full build out on traffic. And there's several mitigation measures that we have to comply with, including adding additional traffic signals, not only on Copper, not only on Willow Avenue, but also south side of Copper Avenue. But that roundabout has a lot of capacity. I don't have the numbers in front of me. Staff may be able to answer that question. But again, this site, whether it's commercial, whether it's retail, whether it's residential, which it is residential, whether it's single-family residential or multi-family residential, you're going to have X number of units built. It's designed, it's zoned, it was studied, and it was approved by this body in 2021. So I don't know if there's any other details I can help address. I don't know if Jennifer Clark or any of the planners can address, but a traffic study was conducted. Again, if it's an empty field, there'd be, the only impact would be homeless can hang out and camp a tent and other nefarious activities. By the way, when we were designing the commercial, one of the biggest issues that came up was speed racing at night with Copper River residents on Copper Avenue. I think PD was called out. One of the residents told me, hey, this is our issue. We have folks, younger folks, using Copper around midnight for speeding, for racing. Obviously, we've built many homes at Copper River. I have many friends that live at Copper River. We're still building at Copper River, and we continue to build. We'll be building there for the next decade.
Any other questions? Go ahead, sir.
All right. So my question is, how are you advertising this into a diverse community to give people an opportunity? Because Copper River is more like a prime, more like a prime area of Fresno. I hope our whole Fresno looks like that. But how are you kind of advertising? How would you advertise to bring more diverse community into that area, to giving people an opportunity, whoever want to live in there or reside in there?
Well, most of it happens through our marketing efforts. And really, it comes down to the price range of the product. We have homes built. Well, if you go back to the 2009, 2010, or at least expensive homes at the time, and none of us will believe the numbers today, were $220,000. The homes that we sold, 3 or 4, can we go back to the PowerPoint, please? The homes that we built several years ago, average price was $420,000 or $30,000. Let me see. I'll show that to you if I can get. Oops. Can you go back a couple of slides? Yeah, that one actually. So if you could, can you put your cursor directly? Can I guess, would it work from here? Awesome, thank you. Okay, thank you, thank you. So this is the site, and if you can see the cursor, so this is the neighborhood of, average price about $450,000 homes, was built 5 or 6 years ago. And then this neighborhood directly across from Copper River is where the $220,000 homes were sold back in 2009, 2010. And those are probably reselling at around $350,000 to $380,000, maybe $400,000. They're small. They're 2 and 3, but the single story, 1,300 square feet, 350, 380, 390, somewhere in that range. It's been about a year since I've looked at it. Of course, then you have golf course homes that are, probably in the, I'm going to guess, $600,000 to $700,000 price range. But directly across the street, you have homes that were sold at the same time by us, by the way, at $220,000, starting at $220,000. So that brings a diverse mix of folks to Copper River, and Copper River, we went through a series of negotiations with the city of Fresno and several outside groups to make sure that it is diverse before it had the opportunity to get approved by Planning Commission and City Council back in 2003. Of course, the folks that live in our homes come from a very diverse background nationally. We sell to a lot of folks that are immigrating to the country or immigrating to Fresno or migrating to Fresno from other parts of the country, from physicians to nurses to just folks just landing in our country.
Any other questions from the commission?
I would like to comment. I actually live in this neighborhood, and I can attest to the integrity of your homes.
I'm sorry, could you?
Sorry. I said I actually live in this neighborhood, and I can attest to the integrity of your homes.
Thank you.
They are very beautiful, and there are several of your homes in this community. This is the North Growth area, so when I started living there, I knew that there were changes to come. So I do recognize those changes, and I understand that there are a lot of appeal letters, but I do appreciate you addressing the parking concerns, the school rezoning concerns. The rezone has happened already, so you're not going to come into the neighborhood and another rezone is going to happen. I think it's important we acknowledge that. And then also, I want to appreciate the fact that you're not going to make the buildings as high as some of the other buildings in the area.
No, thank you for your comments, Commissioner Lide. I'm glad you brought up the parking. So one of the things that we are apartment builders, home builders, and small neighborhood commercial builders for several decades, going back to the early 80s. One of the things we've discovered is the parking ratio. To have a comfortable parking ratio so you don't have overspill into the neighborhood, into the adjacent streets, and that's very important to us. One of the other reasons we have in-house property management. We want to make sure our clients, our tenants are happy, and also we're developing and building and managing a property within the commitment that Granville Home has to the neighborhood. So we always use a parking ratio that's roughly 2 to 1. And in this case, I think your report shows that we have, I don't know what the exact number is, 80 to 100 more units of parking than what's minimally required by the city of Fresno. So this is not something that we said, okay, let's just go build it. We could have built 3-story. We could have built 4-story. But we don't believe that's the right fit for this neighborhood. City of Fresno probably would have wanted us to build more units because I know we have a high housing shortage, and this affords folks from a diverse background to have a chance to live at Copper River. Again, we're building homes ranging from, in today's market, from $800,000 to $3.5 million at Copper River today, and we're going to build these apartments across the street as part of the original commitment to this community and to the city of Fresno. Actually, saying beyond commitment as part of the requirement to be able to build that Copper River.
Last question for me. Can you give us an estimate of what the rents will be? I think that's going to put a lot into perspective in terms of what people consider an apartment. I get the impression this is going to be more of a luxury apartment.
That's it. Thank you for that question, Commissioner Lide. So if it was open today, the rents would range from $2,500 a month to about $3,000 a month.
For a 2-bedroom, 1-bath.
I'm sorry?
For a 2-bedroom, 1-bath.
For a 2-bedroom, 1-bath would start at about $2,500 and potentially higher. We don't know where construction cost is going to be by the time we actually get a chance to build this. So, and a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, closer to the $3,000 mark. And I, we were just looking at what is the mortgage of some of our homeowners that live across the street from this project, and also the project just to the east of us, the one that were sold in 2019. And those mortgages are in the $2,000 a month range. So our tenants will be paying more in rent at this project than some of our homeowners that have bought homes from us over the last 5 years.
Any other questions?
One more time, Mr. Simmons. What's the square meters of each unit, please?
It starts at the 2-bedroom, 1-bath is 800 square feet, and the 2-bedroom, 2-baths are about 1,150. So these are small, highly amenitized, I don't have any pictures of the inside, but a typical project that we built: quartz countertops, high-end appliances, cabinets, solid surface flooring, really attractive light fixtures. And of course, built and backed with love and passion by Granville Homes, along with our EcoSmart technologies. The Granville Homes part is priceless.
Any other questions from the commission? Thank you. Appreciate it.
Do I have an opportunity for
Yes, you
rebut
will.
at the end? Okay.
You will.
Thank you.
Yep.
Can you leave it there? Or we can take your laptop.
Can you leave the area up, please? Hi, Chair Vang, just wanted to address Commissioner Kreiner's question regarding the roundabout. So there's one other existing roundabout within Copper River Ranch. It's kind of northwesterly at this site, and that's actually adjacent to a larger multifamily complex. That one has 492 units. The subject site is adjacent to two major streets, Copper River Ranch Drive and Maple. So those are both major streets which are capable to handle the amount of anticipated traffic. There is also a kind of a similar roundabout located on Fowler and Fancher Creek Drive, which is along or at the intersection of major streets. So just wanted to add that information.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and move to the public. Do we have any individuals who would like to speak in favor, in support? Okay. Please state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes.
Hello, my name is Danielle Fulaski Richardson, and I currently reside at the Copper River area. This is kind of close to my heart. My son is now a teacher for the Fresno district, and he wouldn't be able to afford a home. Thanks to Mr. Semi, I've afforded 2 homes at Copper. One on the lower end as a starter home, and then one on the higher end. I was able to do that. My husband immigrated over here, so we're very diverse. And we want our son to stay in the community where he teaches. We want him to be part of this community. He can't afford a $5,000 a month mortgage. That's what they're paying now. I couldn't afford to sell my home if I tried, and to live, I'd have to go into an apartment. And I want to just touch base on a few things that, they've done a really good job here. And Granville Homes has built a quality product. I'll give you an example. Their Brookside Villas project, which is on Nees and Millbrook, it was an old eyesore of an orchard for years. It was blighted. Every time I drive by, that property is beautiful. I never see graffiti. I don't see homeless. I don't hear about crimes. He gave you there's no crimes. That's 162 units there. It hasn't impacted that area, and that's next to a school. They're building 2-bedroom apartment homes where my son can actually afford with a roommate to live and actually still stay close to mom, which is, again, near and dear to my heart. And I want him to live, work, and play and love here. But he wouldn't be able to afford a home if he was to live, but he could afford an apartment. He could definitely afford it with a roommate. He's got friend groups that are in his same boat, that if they were to try to buy a home, they would never be able to afford it. And they want to live here in this community, and they want to grow up in this community, and they want to be part of this community like they grew up in. And I am a little bit favoritism as far as I want to keep my son close. I want my family to be close as well. And I think they've touched as far as like safety goes. You know yourself when there's people and it's not a blighted lot, and there's actually people in movement, they're more vigilant of their surroundings. They're more vigilant if something suspicious happening. There's probably going to be security. And I like the fact that he's not trying to build a 3 or 4-story place like the one on that corner of where I live. That to me is kind of an eyesore as well. It covers some of the beautiful homes in the area. So just in part, I'm in favor of this, and I, again, want to have my son a little closer, and his friend groups want to also stay in the community where they work. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other individuals who would like to speak in support? Any on Zoom? Again, this is for, if you're going to speak in favor and support, please state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes.
Good evening, Chair Vang, Commissioners. My name is Drew Phelps. I live at 1107 North Van Ness here in Fresno. In full disclosure, I am not here representing the applicant, but I did work in the past for the applicant. But actually now I currently work for a competitor in the market. So I think the fact that, I'm here speaking in support does say something about this project. I would say that I did do a bit of work on this project. I also worked on the EIR most recently. And just to give a little bit of background on the community engagement that happened at that point, because this property was part of that general plan amendment rezone that went along with that EIR. And the community engagement, I would say at that point in time, as one of the folks who was on the team who led those community meetings, was pretty limited. As most of you know, the EIR process requires significant public outreach, and no concerns were ever really brought about this property. A little bit more from that EIR, it did evaluate that about approximately 2,500 homes, single-family homes, would be built at project build-out to go with 714 multifamily units, which means about 22% or so would be multifamily units. So I think, for anyone to try and make the case that we're going to get an overwhelming number of residents coming from multifamily units compared to single family, I just think that's, a difficult case to make. I personally am a renter. I'm fortunate enough that I could choose to buy a home, but for certain reasons I do choose to rent. And so I do think personally it's offensive that some folks try to make the case that just because I choose to rent, I wouldn't be able to live in the neighborhood where I want, or send my kids in the future to a school of my choosing. And so I really think it's disappointing when these type of opposition events come up. I think we all understand, just living in the USA, how markets work, right? We know that when someone moves to a new unit, they're probably moving out of a unit that cost less previously. And so they're no longer competing for units at that price point. Folks in other that are eligible for that price point are able to move up and, continue that process. And so I think, this project, along with, frankly, all multifamily, in my opinion, is something that I support, and I would like to lend my support to this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Drew. Hear you loud and clear. Do we have any other individuals who would like to speak in support? No? Okay. We'll go ahead and go to the public. Any individuals who would like to speak in opposition? Any individuals who would like to speak in opposition? Any on Zoom? All right. We'll go ahead and close all public comments. Bring it back to the commission. Do we have any questions, comments, or motion?
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the environmental assessment, deny the appeal, and uphold the action of the Planning Development Department Director.
I'll second that.
All right, so we have a motion made by Commissioner Lade, a second by Vice Chair Bray. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. Motion's approved. Thank you. We'll go ahead and we'll go to the next item. It's item ID 24889, consideration of plan amendment and rezone application number P2200388.
Good evening, Chair Vang, Commissioners. Chris Lang from the Planning and Development Department. For your consideration this evening is Plan Amendment and Rezone Application number P2200388, Vesting Tentative Track Map number 6360, Plan Development Permit Application number P2200387, and the associated Environmental Impact Report. You can see that the subject property is located on the northeast corner of east of the East McKinley Avenue alignment and North Armstrong Avenue, approximately 28.6 net acres. Here you can see an aerial photograph of the site. You'll note to the north and south of the subject property are recently approved subdivisions. To the west is agricultural uses, and to the east is the county of Fresno and larger rural residences. The subject property is low-density residential planned land use. Again, you can see to the north, medium-low density. To the south and west, it is planned for medium-density residential. The proposed project will reclassify the low-density residential of 1 to 3.5 dwelling units per acre to the medium-density residential planned land use, which is 5 to 12 dwelling units per acre. The associated rezone will also rezone the property from RS3 to RS5 to correspond with the proposed planned land uses. The subject property proposes, or the vesting tentative tract map 6360 proposes to subdivide 28.6 net acres of property into a 326 lot single family residential subdivision with an overall density of 11.4 dwelling units per acre. This is within the proposed medium density residential land use, which allows up to 12 dwelling units per acre. Public improvements which are proposed for the property include the construction of McKinley Avenue, widening of Armstrong Avenue, construction of a Class 1 trail, and also an installation of a traffic signal at the intersection of Armstrong and future McKinley Avenue alignment. The planned development permit application proposes a gated community with private streets, as well as reduced lot sizes and reduced setbacks, which would include a reduction of the front and rear yard setbacks. And it is noted that a 10-foot setback has been conditioned along the northern and eastern property lines of the subject property, which butts existing residential to both the north and east of the subject site. As you can see, there is a proposed open space which includes a park, as well as a second open space which includes a proposed clubhouse and pool. And it is noted that the applicant has reached out to the planning department regarding conditions of approval for a required block wall, which is conditioned for the entire site. For lots 32 through 47 along the northern portion of the property, they abut a residential subdivision which has already been developed with an existing wood fence. The applicant has requested that the block wall requirement for those lots on the northern property line abutting the existing fence be conditioned to not be required. And staff does support this request. An environmental impact report was prepared for the proposed project in accordance with CEQA to evaluate any potential significant direct, indirect, or cumulative impacts associated with the project. It's intended to serve as an informational document for the public agency decision makers and the public regarding the potential environmental impacts associated with the construction of the proposed project. It identifies potential mitigation measures and alternatives to reduce potential significant environmental impacts. Pursuant to CEQA guidelines, the environmental impacts are classified as either less than significant with mitigation incorporated, and significant and unavoidable impacts. As you can see, a summary of the impacts, less than significant, were aesthetics, agriculture and forestry, biological resources, energy, hazards and hazardous materials, hydrology and water quality, land use and planning, mineral resources, population and housing, public services, recreation, utilities and service systems, and wildfire. And it was determined that impacts with that would be less than significant with mitigation incorporated include air quality, cultural resources, geology and soils, noise, and tribal and cultural resources. There were several impacts which were determined to be significant and unavoidable. One, transportation. There were mitigation measures incorporated into the project. However, those did not reduce the VMT of the overall site below what the adopted state thresholds would be. So the VMT for the subject site would be significant and unavoidable. Also, the greenhouse gas emissions. The greenhouse gas emissions would be inconsistent with the GHG checklist, which was adopted by the city of Fresno. And because of VMT being significant and unavoidable, it therefore would not qualify or not be consistent with the GHG checklist, which requires a reduction in VMT. The findings of fact and statement of overriding considerations. Whenever an EIR has been certified, one or more if it's been certified and it identifies one or more significant environmental impacts, the agency must make findings for each of these significant effects. SECR requires the decision-making body to balance the economic, legal, social, technological, or other benefits of a proposed project against its unavoidable environmental risks when determining whether to approve a project. If the specific benefits of a proposed project outweigh the unavoidable adverse environmental effects, the adverse environmental effects may be considered acceptable. The findings, in fact, and statement of overriding considerations have been prepared for this project, and they are attached in the staff report. Public notice. Notice of preparation was circulated to the public, as well as responsible trustee agencies and interested parties on August 8th, 2022. And the NOP also announced the date and time of the scoping meeting. These circulations included publication in the Fresno Bee, posting with the city and county clerk, submittal to the Office of Planning and Research with State Clearinghouse. August 17th, the scoping meeting was held, and one member of the public was in attendance. October 12th, 2002, a neighborhood meeting was held by the project applicant, and 2 members of the public did attend the meeting. On February 23rd of this year, the draft EIR was published with a 45-day comment period, and 3 comment letters were received and incorporated into the final EIR. And then June 17th this year, the Planning Commission hearing was mailed to property owners within 1,000 feet of the subject property. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission recommends certification to the City Council of the final EIR, which also recommends adoption of the findings of fact, adoption of the statement of overriding considerations, and recommend approval of the mitigation monitoring and reporting program. Staff also recommends approval of Plan Amendment Application number P22-00388, which proposes to amend the general plan from the low-density residential planned land use to the medium-density residential planned land use, as well as approval of the associated rezone, which would reclassify the property from RS3 to RS5. Staff recommends approval of vesting tentative tract map 6360, which requests authorization to subdivide the 326 lot, or subdivide the property to create the 326 lot single-family subdivision with the conditions incorporated previously mentioned, with the removal of the block wall requirement along lots 132 to 147. And then staff recommends approval of Plan Development Permit P22-00387, which requests the authorization to establish a gated private community. This concludes staff's presentation, and staff is available to answer questions, as well as a representative from the environmental consultant group who helped, or who prepared the project.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from the commission? Thank you, sir. Do we have the applicant?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the Planning Commission. I'm Dirk Puschel, and my business address is 923 Van Ness here in Fresno. We certainly appreciate staff's diligence in evaluating the projects. We've been working on this project for about a year or so with them. As staff mentioned, we did a comprehensive environmental impact report, principally for one issue, and that had to do with vehicle miles traveled. As the commission knows, relatively recently the state has moved from the level of service to VMT, and I dare say that whether we came with the original project as it was originally designated or this, we would have had issues with the distance of the trips that are associated with the project. We agree with all of the conditions. We also note that the property is already within the city of Fresno. Staff has done a very good job in Exhibit H talking about the general plan and its policies and why the project should be approved. I would mention too, because I know outreach is very important to the commissioners, we did have an outreach meeting and there were 2 people that attended. They were both in support. No public person commented on the environmental impact report. The final impact report had 3 different commenters, but those were all local governmental agencies. So there's no opposition to the project. We have reached out to our neighbors, particularly the rural residential lots to the east. Former Supervisor Bob Watterson lives there, and so we've had a lot of conversations with Bob. He became the focal point of conversation with his neighborhood. They're supportive of the project, not the least of which is that one of the temporary ponding basins that's in that project gets removed and replaced by our project. We are incorporating internal trails and about a quarter of a mile of regional trails along McKinley. So we ask for your support as recommended by your staff. Be happy to answer any questions if you have them of me.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from the commission?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and go to the public. Do we have any individuals who would like to speak in support of the project? Any on Zoom? No. Any individuals who would like to speak in opposition? None on Zoom? Okay. We'll go ahead and close all public comments, bring it back to the commission. Do we have a motion, comments, any additional questions?
Well, I'll make a motion to adopt staff's recommendations.
We have a motion made by Vice Chair Bray. Do we have a second? All right. We have a second by Commissioner Calandra. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. Motion's approved. Thank you. We're going to move to any unscheduled oral communications.
Did you have a report from Secretary? No.
Oh,
Does that?
sorry about that. My apologies.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I was looking at the agenda. I do have one thing that I wanted to bring to your attention this evening. One, we would like to welcome our new member of the Planning Commission. Commissioner Shergill joins us with a significant amount of experience in planning. He was on the West Area Neighborhood Specific Plan Committee. We know that that plan will be coming back to the commission later this year, early in 2025, and I'm sure you'll bring a wealth of information on the history of how we got to where we are with the recommendations there. So welcome to this group. You will find that everyone reads all of their material, is very well prepared for these meetings, so thank you. Tonight. I'd also like to introduce our new Assistant Director of our Development Services Unit, Ashley Atkinson. Joins us, has been here, I think we decided today, 8 days. This is her 8th day. Ashley comes to us from the city of Los Angeles. She also worked in the city of Long Beach. She has extensive experience in planning, in housing, in redevelopment. And most notably served as the president of the California chapter of the American Planning Association for a number of years. So we're welcome, Ashley. I don't know if you wanted to say anything to the commission tonight or if waving is good.
Was she recruited from the event that you guys held? Yes, okay.
Just say hello quickly. Happy to be here. As Jennifer noted, it's just been a week and a half, so I'm still getting to know the lay of the land here in Fresno, but very pleased to be joining you all and look forward to working with you.
Awesome. Welcome.
Good job, Jennifer.
Thank you to all of you for your support over the last 2.5 years in finding a new AD. And then I hope that you all enjoy a very safe and healthy 4th of July Independence Day holiday tomorrow. And understand that we do, since a couple of these items were continued again, I think the 17th we have at least 4 items to be heard. And then in August, another heavy agenda. So just be prepared. Lots of reading coming up.
Great, thank you. We'll move to any unscheduled oral communications. And I do owe you an apology, too, for last time for skipping. So my apologies, okay, miss?
You did. You apologized the last time. My name is Brunette, and I'm with the HEAT for Southwest Fresno Community. This project that's in District 3, we was here last week. We wanted the information. It was not available. We want all of the information on that project, and we don't want to hear nothing within 1,000 feet, because everything that you're doing now is citywide. So whatever is in District 3, we want the information and we want to be notified. Because now they're trying to, you guys are trying to eliminate the community. You can't do that, especially since you're putting citywide on everything. Everything you're doing is citywide. 1,000 feet is null and void at this point. We want the information. And you guys, like we told you before, we want the paperwork. So we like to have that before the 17th, and we like to have a community meeting on it. There was no community meeting. So like we said, 1,000 feet doesn't work. We will contact HUD because you guys are still doing the same thing. Jennifer, the same identical thing. And we asked for this information, and we would like to have it.
Thank you. Do we have any other individuals? Please state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes.
My name is Diane Smith. I live in West Fresno, just west of Chandler Airfield. I find it ironic coming to these meetings because the information is not available to the public. Some of this information in regards to this, the item that was continued before and is continued again, I tried to find it on the line, online, and I could not find it. And it's my understanding someone else went down to the clerk's office and asked for it, and they said they didn't have it. So it's just really disturbing that these things are going forward, being put on the calendars, being postponed and postponed, but the documentation isn't available to the people that need to see it. And as Brunette said, anything you do in a community, especially West Fresno, what you do in one part of West Fresno affects the rest of it. You can't build in one area and think that nothing's going to affect the other parts of it. And we have been going through this time and time again, and it's getting to the point that it's just senseless that the city still does not have transparency. They're not notifying the community. When Mr. Asimi was talking about, oh, 2 people showed up at their, or whoever said 2 people showed up from the community, I'm wondering how they noticed them. Because people don't get noticed. We have a gentleman that lives in our community in West Fresno. They're building houses within 50 feet of his house, and he didn't even get a notice. So the question is, why is the city continuously doing the same thing, and you guys aren't holding yourselves accountable? Because it's just useless, and it's just very, very disgusting to live in a city where your people that are supposed to be looking out for you, whether it's your city council person or was it your mayor or anybody else, they're not. It seems like the goal is to make people that can't afford to live in $40,000 homes, we're going to be out of homes. Because what they're doing in West Fresno, they're saying, oh, you can come back. Most of the people in West Fresno that own their homes, they are seniors now. And for them to say, well, when we build all this stuff, you can come back, that's a lie, and they know it. And I'm just very disgusted with you guys, all of you, because everybody some of you are new, you don't know the rules, you don't know how the game is played, you're going to find out. And I hope that you will be just as disgusted as I am about it.
Thank you, miss. Any other individuals who would like to speak? I see none. Israel, is it possible for you to exchange contact with them just to make sure that they get the information they need for the next meeting? Thank you. It's currently 7:09. Everyone have a safe 4th of July tomorrow. Have a wonderful evening. Bye.